Alright, this video is on the fall of Rome. Right now we're going to look at the fall of Rome through the eyes of Ammianus Marcellinus, great Roman historian who lived in the later Roman Empire, like mid to late 300s AD. Rome's going to fall in 410. And this is the story. So what's going on in that part of the empire at that moment is you have Rome under pressure from the Vandals, the Ostrogoths, the Visigoths, all these tribes that are coming down, putting pressure on Rome. The Roman army is divided into comitatenses, and there's two of them. We'll get back to that word's important. We'll get back to it when we start doing the the Germanic invasions and things like, the Germanic war bands in the Middle Ages. Now, when we have this kind of situation, what we get is an army that's made up of cavalry and infantry, essentially, not a lot of siege stuff, and it's extremely fast. It's made to move across territory with lightning speed because it has to protect huge amounts of frontier. Now, there's only 20 or 30,000 men in each of these two armies, and there's an emperor in charge of each one, most often. And if there isn't, then they tend to appoint one emperor, and it causes some problems. But essentially, they have a couple of these comitatenses, and they're made to deal with threats. And there's some walls up, and there's some defensive stuff around the outskirts of the empire. And that's just meant to slow down enemies until these comitatenses can pound them and destroy them and absolutely rip through them until they're nothing. But that takes some time. And these things are fast. And Rome is under tremendous pressure. Why is Rome under tremendous pressure? Because of the HUNS. So as you look and see on the map, there's all these tribes coming down, Ostrogoths, Visigoths, Vandals, etc., coming down from essentially the north, because they're being pressured out of their own territory that they're usually in because of a much bigger tribe that's much more powerful called the HUNS. You all have heard about these horsemen. Now the HUNS are an interesting group of people. Ammianus Marcellinus talks about them. Here's what he has to say. The HUNS are quite abnormally savage. From their moment of their birth, they make deep gashes in their children's cheeks, so that when in due course hair appears, its growth is checked by the wrinkled scars. They have squat bodies, strong limbs, and thick necks, and are so prodigiously ugly and bent that they might be two-legged animals. Still, their shape, however disagreeable, is human. But their way of life is so rough that they have no use for fire or for seasoned food, but live on the roots of wild plants and the half-raw flesh of any sort of animal, which they warm a little by placing it between their thighs and the backs of their horses. So they sit on it all day. That's how they warm up their food. Ancient microwave. They have no buildings to shelter them. Not so much as a hut thatched with reeds is to be found among them. They wear garments of linen or of the skins of field mice stitched together, and there is no difference between their clothing, whether they are at home or abroad. Once they have put their necks in some dingy shirt, they never take it off or change it till it rots and falls to pieces from incessant wear. They have round caps of fur on their heads, and protect their hairy legs with goat skins. Their shapeless shoes make it hard to walk easily. In consequence, they are ill-fitted to fight on foot, and remain glued to their horses, hardy but ugly beasts, on which they sometimes sit like women, so that's side saddle, to perform their everyday business. Buying or selling, eating or drinking, all are done by day or night on horseback, and they even bow forward over their beasts' narrow necks to enjoy a deep and dreamy sleep. They sometimes fight by challenging their foes to single combat, but when they join battle they advance in packs, uttering their various war cries. Being lightly equipped and very sudden in their movements, they can deliberately scatter and gallop about at random, inflicting tremendous slaughter, and their extreme nimbleness enables them to force a rampart or pillage an enemy's camp before one catches sight of them. None of them plows or ever touches a plow handle. They have no fixed abode, no home or law settled manner of life, but they wander like refugees with the wagons in which they live. In these their wives weave their filthy clothing, mate with their husbands, and give birth to their children, and rear them to the age of puberty. So that's what he sees as soon as these Roman soldiers come upon the Huns. And they don't fight with the Huns too much. There's not a ton of contact there. But they see them, and they're basically aliens. They're ugly, essentially. They're smelly, they're dirty, all kinds of these stereotypically unclean, filthy things. And because of that, the Romans are a combination of terrified by them and contemptuous of them. And I guess it comes as no surprise then that they were able to push out all the other supposedly barbaric tribes, because they were, to some extent, the barbarian kings. Also, the show Game of Thrones has a sort of a culture called the Dothraki. And these Dothraki riders are in large part based on the Huns and to some extent the Mongols, which we'll encounter later in the course. But now for the fall of Rome and the Battle of Adrianople in the next video.